What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MyMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and this is another Talking Oscars. These are my first predictions for Best Actor for 2025. I'm kicking this off. We're starting off in May. I had to get it out before Cannes, so I'm doing all these categories because it's no fun if you wait until Cannes. It's bad enough that we already know some films from Sundance, South by Southwest, but generally those aren't huge bellwethers. I mean, A Real Pain was the biggest thing that came out of Sundance, really, and didn't end up materializing into an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. Great for Kieran Culkin, but not really for anything else. So, what do we have this year? What are we looking at? So, here's what I have for Best Actor. Up at the top, my number one choice is Jeremy Allen White for his Bruce Springsteen biopic. What the hell is it called? Deliver Me from Nowhere. Screen readers. This is why I can't ever narrate anything, because I have to listen to somebody read it to me first and then regurgitate it back to you. So Jeremy Allen White, yeah, of course. I mean, this dude seems to be like, he keeps winning for the bear when he's not even the most interesting character anymore. Like, in let's be honest, that show has done an amazing job of reshaping the ensemble. In season one, he absolutely was the most amazing thing about the bear because he was the lead of the bear. In successive seasons of the bear, you've seen it completely flip, and it has taken the supporting cast and given them all the time in the world to develop to where now we're getting all these great performances from the entire supporting cast, and turning people into breakout stars out of the bear that are not just Jeremy Allen White. But he is still getting all the love. People haven't noticed the fact that the show isn't supporting him the same way that it did in season one. So if they're not noticing, I think it's just there's a love for Jeremy Allen White. He's playing a real person in a biopic. I think it's probably going to happen for him. I think he's of the moment, and I think it just feels like he's getting an Oscar nomination. There isn't anything for him to overcome either. This isn't like trying to convince somebody that Dwayne Johnson or Zac Efron is ready for an Oscar nomination. No, this is Jeremy Allen White from The Bear. He doesn't have any hurdles to jump. Like, oh, remember that dumbass thing that he did back in the day? Like the guy from Red Rocket who starred in Scary Movie. I mean, you don't have to like erase somebody, Pamela Anderson from last year. We don't have to forgive anybody of their sins or trespasses. We can just deliver them from nowhere. And movie double list. We have Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme. Yeah, I have this in Best Picture also, and Best Director. So if this is A24's big film, which it currently is positioned in that slot, which has gotten them, they used it for Zone of Interest, they used it for The Brutalist, and currently that's where Marty Supreme is. So if this is what A24 thinks is their big film for 2025, then they're going to put all their guns behind it. Yes, he was just nominated last year. He hasn't won yet, though. So the conversation could turn into, is it time for Chalamet on his third nomination? As sort of like a young DiCaprio accumulating nominations. It took DiCaprio a long time to win, too. But he had no problem accumulating nominations till he got there. So I think, yeah, that's probably going to happen for Chalamet. I'm going with George Clooney for Jay Kelly. He hasn't been nominated in a while, and he's liked well enough. I think his Good Night and Good Luck thing is buying him goodwill. I don't really buy into Tony nominations. The fact that Othello is as successful as it is and got no Tony nominations doesn't necessarily mean that the people who are voting on Tony Awards have any idea what's going on in life. They're just picking what they pick. They just were I don't know how you're unimpressed with Denzel Washington and Jake Gyllenhaal doing Othello in a production that's already profitable and became the quickest show to become profitable, I guess, of any play that's ever hit Broadway. So I know it's also Shakespeare, so it didn't cost them much to put on, but just probably the paycheck for Washington and Gyllenhaal is a lot on its own. Yeah, so Um, I think probably George Clooney has been here in a while. If Jay Kelly hits, Noah Baumbach gets him in, sure. Moving down the list. I'm going with Daniel Day Lewis for Enemy. Yeah, or however you say that movie's name. It's directed by his son, and a lot of people are writing it off because it just seems like a sort of generic family drama. I just am not writing it off because it's Daniel Day Lewis, and he did technically quit acting, and he came back. And we've thrown Oscar nominations at Daniel Day Lewis before, so we thought he was done. We thought he had walked away, unless this movie is just god awful. It could be a real contender just for him, just for Daniel Day Lewis, not necessarily anything else, but just for Daniel Day Lewis, because he sort of breaks the mold of he does not need to be in a Best Picture nominee. He doesn't need that. He just needs to be Daniel Day Lewis. He has multiple Oscars. He won't win, but the fact that he made a big show of quitting all those years ago and he's come back, but he's come back for a film that you could forgive him for because it's a film that's directed by his son. So of course he's going to come back for that film. So it's like the one thing that would get somebody out of retirement. I could see this happening, so I'm going with that. And then for number 5, it's a wish predicting. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm going to say it because I'd like for it to happen. It's Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein. I have no idea if this is a good performance. I don't care. I think Oscar Isaac is overdue. And I think he has been in too many excellent performances and not managed to get an Oscar nomination. Even some stuff he should have been Emmy nominated for. He's a fantastic actor, and he needs to be able to say Academy Award nominee Oscar Isaac. And Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, he is playing not the monster, unlike Jacob Elordi, who's playing the monster. So it's possible that he'll actually have scenes and the range in which to get this nomination. So we'll see, but I'm going to keep talking about it until there's a clear reason to not talk about it. So moving down the list to other people that I'm paying attention to. Leonardo DiCaprio for One Shot After Another. The Paul Thomas Anderson movie. He doesn't always get nominated, and I don't know. It's so hard. If he'd been nominated for Killers, but the early word on this is that Sean Penn is the star, and typically in films where the early word is that he's not the main, he has a harder time getting the nomination. He gets the nomination when he is the takeaway, when people unequivocally believe that his performance is what's driving the film. But when he ends up having to, when people end up talking about like Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, he misses. So if people end up talking about Sean Penn for the movie instead of him, he could end up just missing because he has a bunch of nominations. So unless this is a career-defining moment for him, there won't be a push for him to win a second Oscar. So I think he could end up losing out. But I think he'll be in the race the whole time, all the way through, and just maybe coming in 6th place like he did for Killers of the Flower Moon. I've also got Jesse Plemons for Begonia. I think he has a better shot than Emma Stone does. I'll give him that. But he is a previous Oscar nominee, so there's less of that drive to push him towards his first Oscar nomination. But he's been pretty consistent in terms of his work. I just want to see what the role is. I don't want to just assume that he'll get nominated for Yorgos Lanthimos' movies. But yeah, he's been doing really solid work, so. Matthew McConaughey for that Zemkaya movie. When this movie gets a distributor, I'll take it more seriously. I've heard he was good. I heard it screened well. Nobody bought it. Not a good sign. I've heard that they wanted a higher price tag for it, and that's not an excuse. Like, what do they want? Like 100 million? Like what was their asking point? I've seen them buy some dumb shit for extremely ridiculous prices and then throw them onto streaming services. So, like, the Ben Stiller movie, right? Nutcrackers. Wasn't that like, that was like 25 or $30 million purchase, and it just went straight to Hulu. So you're telling me that Fox Searchlight wasn't willing to spend 25 to $30 million to drop a movie on Hulu, and it might win an Oscar? Come on now. And I know the Oscar expert, like he's seen it, right? The other channel, Oscar expert. I do watch them, and they are fucking this movie all the way up. They're just they love this movie. They're just every time they have the opportunity. But my counter to them, I know they're the Oscar expert, even though there are two of them. One of them is the Oscar expert. The other one is just the brother of. So my thing to you would be, if studios are willing to spend stupid amounts of money on other films that they have dropped onto streaming services when they're fully capable of releasing them theatrically, how much money did they really want for this? What is prohibitively high that precludes anybody from buying this? If they really truly thought it was a front runner, if they really truly thought this one was going to slam dunk, wouldn't they buy it? Wouldn't you want to be all up in this? Matthew McConaughey he's a name. It's not like the cast is full of unknown stars. So I'm a little hesitant. So it might be all hype. So we'll see. I'm still talking about Dwayne Johnson for Smashing Machine, just in case. His film has kind of dissipated. He's getting a June release, unfortunately. Man, people were like all high about this movie when they heard about it, and there was early buzz. Dwayne Johnson could be an Oscar nominee. I'm not going to say that buzz isn't going to go away. It didn't seem like Pamela Anderson was going to have that buzz, and for a while she didn't, and then she did, and then she became a Golden Globe nominee. And then she became a Screen Actors Guild nominee. And it's just like, I never thought that was going to happen. So could Dwayne Johnson materialize for a film that doesn't work? Sure, because everywhere The Last Showgirl showed up, it didn't show up for the movie. It showed up for her, though. So basically, Dwayne Johnson could be this year's Pamela Anderson. But I have to see the reaction to it, too. And how transformative it is. If we all feel like it's, like Pamela Anderson, then yeah, I mean, he could stay in the race and end up getting some nominations some places and maybe sneaking in the Oscar race. So Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. He's playing two people. Daniel Kaluuya got a nomination for Get Out. I actually think Michael B. Jordan has a decent shot at Sinners. He's never been nominated before. And it just depends on how strong Sinners can be at the end of the year. It's not strong enough where I feel like I want to go ahead and say his name straight up. But I would love to say Michael B. Jordan. Like a couple months from now, if we've seen some of these movies and they bomb at Cannes or other film festivals, and it becomes more and more clear that Sinners is going to like take the Oscars by storm, I'd love to be able to say Michael B. Jordan. But also, he didn't get nominated for Creed. And I mean, that movie was critically acclaimed, had all the opportunity for him to be nominated in the world. He could have been nominated for Fruitvale Station. Like, he has had many opportunities. There was buzz for him to be nominated for Black Panther. He didn't get the nomination. So I don't know how many times they're going to make Michael B. Jordan pay his dues before he gets a nomination. And I don't know. I'm worried. I'd love to see it, though. Colin Farrell for the Ballad of Small Player. That's Edward Berger's new movie. Sure. I mean, it could. We'll see what happens. I've learned not to discount Edward Berger, so. Paul Mescal for Hamnet. I don't think Chloe Zhao's going to get that lucky, but maybe. And Paul Mescal, they were talking about him last year for Gladiator. We're going to keep talking about Paul Mescal just until he gets another Oscar nomination. Brendan Fraser for Rental Family. I kind of feel like Brendan Fraser, I mean, maybe he's not a one-off. Maybe he really has reinvented himself. But when you think about the fact Matthew McConaughey hasn't been able to recreate Dallas Buyers Club, maybe he will with this Zemeckis King thing. Some of these actors, it's just like it's almost like their Oscar was for like, oh my God, we didn't realize you could act. So I don't know that he'll be able to recreate that moment with another film. I guess we have to wait and see. Willem Dafoe's got a movie. I don't know. I mean, he sometimes gets nominated, sometimes he gets forgotten. It's really hard to track where Oscars are with Willem Dafoe. So it's hard to tell sometimes. I mean, he's been nominated for things where he's like the low nomination, but then he like doesn't get nominated for like poor things. It's just like it's I can't read. I have no idea what the Oscars are doing with it. I want to hear more buzz on that on his film. Austin Butler for Caught Stealing. I only put this on here because of Darren Aronofsky, and I haven't completely lost faith on Darren Aronofsky as a director to say that there's zero buzz to the film. So, Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams. He's kind of overdue. Train Dreams seems to be the Sundance film that has a little bit. Real Pain also didn't really pick up steam until later in the year, though, either. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see. If it picks up steam, it picks up steam. Josh O'Connor for the Mastermind. I don't think this is going to happen, but I think Josh O'Connor is one of those names that we just keep talking about, sort of like Austin Butler and, just people right now. Like there are people who feel like they're of now. Jacob Elordi. I mean, they're just names that they're the stars of today. Timothy Chalamet, and he's just one of those names. So he just comes up in the conversation regardless of. But it's Kelly Reichardt's film. Maybe this is Kelly Reichardt's time. I don't know. We'll find out at Cannes. Robert Pattinson for the drama. I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, I could see Pattinson has done enough to dig himself, I think, out of the Twilight hole. I mean, Kristen Stewart's gotten a nomination, so why wouldn't Pattinson at this point? Andrew Scott for Pressure. Again, I mean, he did miss out just a couple years ago for a film that a lot of people thought he deserved an Oscar nomination for. So, just like 2 years ago. So, maybe, I mean, if he's really good in Pressure. Will Arnett for Is This Thing On? In case it's one of those weird things that Bradley Cooper actually just nails, and then Will Arnett ends up being sort of this like weird sort of like shock, where everybody's like, oh my God, have you seen Will Arnett in that movie from Bradley Cooper? I'm shocked. Bradley Cooper directed the hell out of Will Arnett, and now Will Arnett's in the Oscar conversation. Idris Elba for Untitled Catherine Bigelow movie, only because Idris Elba is overdue for a nomination as well. So if he's good enough in it, he could absolutely track into the race. He should have been nominated years ago for Beasts of No Nation. ASAP Rocky for Highest to Lowest. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's Spike Lee, so I have to at least talk about it until we've seen the movie. Channing Tatum for Roofman. Maybe he should have gotten a nomination for Foxcatcher years ago, which would have ended. That would have been his thing, and I don't think maybe he's great in that. The fact that anybody's even paying attention to it at all is enough. So that's what I'm following right now. We'll see how this shapes up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the other side.